the last thing that we want is for that service member to be worried about those things. So when we can step, they're deployed, whether they're here or they're deployed, when those things happen, if we can step in and help to alleviate some of that burden, then that's what we're here to do.
On today's episode of Rise, Grind, Repeat, we talked to Christina from Military Assistance Mission. We discuss how they've been able to grow their nonprofit and help more of our veterans. Let's dive right in. Christina, thank you so much for joining on another episode of Rise, Grind, Repeat. I am super pumped for this because, as I was saying before this, I grew up in Yuma, which is very, very heavy in terms of military. So a lot of military family, a lot of military friends. And what you're doing is all helping military, specifically a certain segment, which I think gets underappreciated or overlooked quite a bit. And really, before we get into that, would love to kind of hear your backstory. Who are you and what are you all about?
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. This is an incredible honor. I'm really happy to be here. So a little bit of background. I'm a mom of 2 adults. Background in pageants. I competed in pageants, which is crazy. And I'm a grandma, a recent grandma. So,
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Other than that, professionally, marketing, had a radio show. And I got to say, it's really strange being on this side of the microphone, not being in the driver's seat, but I appreciate being here. So thanks.
No, I appreciate you coming in. And really, when it comes to the foundation, we talked a little bit. We connected at Gelly's event, talked a little bit about it and a little bit in an email. But I'd love to just hear what is the foundation? What are you guys about? Who do you guys serve? Would love to learn all about it.
Yeah. So Military Assistance Mission is a nonprofit that was started in 2012 by our founder, Margie Bonds. Her son, Michael Adam Marzano, who I never had the opportunity to meet him. He was serving our country. He was actually in Iraq and in Haditha. And he and 3 other soldiers were protecting a hospital. And the hospital was invaded by insurgents. And unfortunately, they were killed in action. Margie got the call on Mother's Day. So, yeah.
That would be tough.
As a mom, I couldn't even imagine. And then to create an organization that helps Michael's brothers and sisters in arms, there are men and women that receive support and help that never knew Michael.
Yeah.
The thing that I love is our organization, MAM, Military Assistance Mission, also bears Michael's initials, Michael Adam Marzano.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, serving, it would be great. Us as a business, it'd be great to serve every business that's out there. But, we have a few people and there's only so many people that we can serve. So identifying who it is that we want to go after is so crucial. How did you guys identify that segment that you really wanted to serve? And really, what was the evolution of that?
Yeah. So the group that we serve is going to be those military families, whether that's active duty or reserves, that are E5 and below, as well as post 9/11 Purple Heart recipients and those that have a combat action badge. And I know that's a mouthful, but those that are in that group, they know that they're in that group. So that's the veteran group that we serve, and we're helping them with financial assistance. So again, that's helping with basic needs: rent, mortgage, car payment, car insurance, utilities, food. I think people would be surprised to learn how many of the men and women that do serve our country struggle financially. So it's great that we can step in and help them. So E5 relates to their pay grade.
Yep.
Now, E6 and below, then we help them with morale aid. So those are things like our baby showers, our back to school, as well as Operation Christmas Giving. So baby showers, many of these families are deployed. So they're not near friends and family when that new expectant arrival comes. And so we step in and we help them with some of those essentials. And then back to school, we're equipping them with all the essentials that they would need going back to school so that just like their civilian counterparts, they have everything that they need when they're starting school. And if you can imagine the financial burden that many of these men and women that serve our country struggle with, you can probably imagine how difficult it can be at the holidays to provide some holiday cheer. So Operation Christmas Giving, we give them, Christmas toys and just create a really festive, fun environment.
Yeah, so I think the biggest disconnect is, when it comes to politics, there's so much spending that happens on the military, and I think a lot of people associate that with military people must get paid a lot if we're spending all this as a country on defense and stuff like that. But I think that's a huge misconception. Do you have any insight into basically the reality of the financials of a new military member? On it is a struggle.
So actually, those young, newly enlisted families, many of them do qualify for working poor. Now, some of the things that would contribute to some of the financial constraints on the family is going to be multiple deployments. So let's say you have a married couple. One of them is enlisted. The other one, the civilian spouse, they get orders to relocate. Those multiple orders to relocate can cause difficulty for the spouse to find employment. So that's one of those components that can cause a strain on the family unit, if you will, and then also just what they're making at that lower rank.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's almost impoverished levels. Pretty much that's what it equates to. And then you mix that with, okay, now they're going to be gone. And if you're married, you saw I have a little 7-month-old. I could not imagine getting deployed. Leaving this country and then leaving all that to my wife. I couldn't imagine the emotional stress, how to navigate the financials on, are you going to work? Is someone going to want, not even the financial part, the logistics, everything. It could be chaotic. And so.
And sometimes, just like in the civilian world, in corporate America, sometimes pay gets messed up. And sometimes that happens in the military world as well. So in that scenario that you described, let's say you are the service member, you're deployed, pay gets messed up. Well, there's still a bill that needs to get paid.
Yeah.
There's still groceries that need to get put on the table. There's still rent or a mortgage and all of those things. So the last thing that we want is for that service member to be worried about those things. So when we can step, they're deployed, whether they're here or they're deployed, when those things happen, if we can step in and help to alleviate some of that burden, then that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, you have a military spouse that's having a little one. I can only imagine the emotional stress that could put on the little one. And you're talking about, impacting future generations on what is the upbringing of that child. And if you guys can come in and make it a little bit easier, you're making a way better future for that little one, which essentially makes a better future for the country. And that's so huge.
Absolutely. And then, when you speak about those little ones, when those children are going to school, we don't want them to feel inferior to the other students. We want them to have everything that they need. Last year, the unexpected happened. We had a pandemic. We had distance learning. So many of these kids that were doing distance learning actually did not have adequate devices for distance learning, which was mind-boggling.
Yeah.
You had over 200,000 students that didn't have internet access, 300,000 that didn't have devices for distance learning. Can you imagine doing your job from a phone or from a tablet? So when I first heard this number about the distance learning, we reached out to our families to find out if they were experiencing that.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting because it was a while before anyone reached out to let us know. Sure enough, one family stepped forward and said, that her kids were, and her husband's deployed. So here she is. She's a mom by herself.
Man.
She's got kids. She has one computer in the house that she and her kids are sharing. And she asked if there was any chance that if we could help her with a computer. Of course we can.
Yeah.
The thing that was fascinating to me was how long she waited on asking for help. And I think so many times people are struggling and they don't want to acknowledge that they need help.
Yeah.
Well, because of this one mom, because she verified that this was happening, we were able to push out to the community and say, look, if you've got a used laptop that you can donate, please donate that so we can get it out. Every single family that reached out to us that needed a laptop for their kids was able to get a laptop.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that is so cool. And you bring up a good point. One, it's one thing to identify where the problem is, but you got to have some type of hand raisers or something to kind of guide that. And you're talking military families where, it's very, hoorah. And I mean, you're not going to be one to be quick to point out my downfalls or where my weaknesses are, as in I don't have supply, I don't have what I need to educate my children and everything like that. So I mean, most people, it's tough to admit that I don't have what I need, let alone, I think, on the military side, I think it's even harder. So for someone to step up and mention that, I think it's huge. And it sounds like it drove a lot of good to a lot of other people.
Because that one mom spoke up, it created this program, this Operation Distance Learning. And what was fascinating to me, once we really pushed it out and started hearing the stories back, it was not uncommon to have a scenario where you'd have a family of 4, a work from home mom sharing a laptop or a computer with 2 other kids. It's how do you do that? I truly believe the bravest thing you can do when you need help is to reach out and ask for help.
And that's so hard to do. And I mean, knowing that, I mean, it's, my mind always goes to, and I'm sure a lot of other people do as well, is people need help. Okay, here's money. But like you just mentioned, it's not just financials, it's devices. It might be time. It might be, helping with laundry, whatever it may be. How are you guys really intaking that from people? Because I mean, you have a lot of different ways that you can help. So I guess if someone were to say, hey, I already love what I'm hearing, how could I donate? I might not have money, I might have some devices, I might have time. What are all the different ways that you guys accept donations?
I am so glad you asked that. So time, talent, and treasure.
I love that.
So those are absolutely the ways to help our nonprofit to truly, almost any nonprofit is going to benefit from time, talent, and treasure. So, you all are experts at what you do. You're donating time right now in doing this. That's a great way that professionals, that individuals can help out. And we love that help. We absolutely do. Another way would be, your talent. Let's say a photographer or a videographer wanted to help out in that way. That's a great way to help. Treasure doesn't necessarily mean always money. Last year we're just talking about the Operation Distance Learning. It was difficult for people to just, even if you had the resources, to go and buy laptops. So when people were able to donate laptops, that was huge. So with the items that are donated, we were able to create a group on Facebook for our military families only. So this is our MAM resource group. So when someone reaches out and says, I've got this item, maybe it's a couch or, you name it, anything that they're wanting to donate, we can post that in the group, and then we can share that with all of our military families and then connect them. So some of the smaller items, like we had someone that donated a smartphone, and we had someone that donated a smartwatch. Those are items that we can take in the office and then get them into the hands. We're in a small office, so if somebody had large furniture, we wouldn't be able to take that, but we can connect the dots.
I love that. And I think the Facebook group is so big. I mean, and that's where my mind was going, is like, man, I got a couple devices I got laying around. I mean, they don't get use. It's how much stuff is just laying around that I disregard it every day, but could be such a huge life-changing thing for someone. Not life-changing, it's going to create all these opportunities, but just make their life that much easier. Do you see that quite a bit, that, people might have things that didn't realize were such value?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're seeing more and more of that. At the beginning of the year, we did this spring cleaning sale. And, so many people during the pandemic were cleaning out and decluttering and getting rid of. And so we had this crazy idea, what if we did a spring cleaning event? And so we did that. And people donated from all over the valley. And then people came from all over the valley to shop. Our military families were able to shop for free. Because of that one event, it created this idea in the minds of several individuals. For example, a friend of mine and a realtor had a winter visitor that was selling their home, fully furnished, high-end home. All the furniture needed to go. So we ended up creating an open house event, and military families were able to come and shop for free for those items. It was out of the box. It was an idea and a concept that we'd never done before. So what will happen next? I don't know. So if somebody watching this has an idea, we love creative ideas.
Yeah, but I think that's what I love about the group is someone might have an idea. The more collective minds you can bring together that all have the same kind of vision, desire, goal, and all that, the more creative ideas that come to fruition that doesn't necessarily take tons of money to then impact lives. And that's what's so cool. That being said, I mean, what are you guys doing from a marketing perspective to really get this out there, try and get your guys' mission and vision in front of more people to get more, finances, more talents, more treasures, and everything.
Well, we have an amazing board. We have an amazing, supportive, and very influential board. One of those is Nicole Kreitz. So she is with AZ Family 3 TV, and we've had some incredible opportunities to be included in specials. For example, last year there was the 9/11 special. We had a 30-minute segment that was all about
Wow.
9/11, and that was created and produced by Nicole. It was fantastic. That's going to happen again this year. Other local TV stations have been so incredibly generous, and when we've done events like the spring cleaning event, Fox 10 came out and covered
That's
that.
cool.
So incredible opportunities there. Networking is huge. Social media is another way that we've gotten the word out. And we're always looking for other creative ideas and ways to get the word out.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Had someone in recently that does work in nonprofits and stuff, and he mentioned that grant money has kind of gotten a bit tight. We work with a few nonprofits, and over there donations have gotten blown out of the water. So it seems like there's a little bit, some nonprofits are doing really well, some are just kind of, it's tough to get out there. Really, what does that look like? I mean, is it tough finding those grants, or what does that whole financial landscape look like?
I think we've been very fortunate. We've had success in the grants that, you're not going to get all of the grants.
Yeah.
So we apply for the grants, and some of them we're blessed and we get them, and then some of them we don't. And so you just keep on going. You keep going. You keep looking for other grants and apply for those grants. Our financial revenues has come from grants. It's also come from sponsors. Businesses that have the ability to sponsor different events and to support in whatever way they can. Like our golf tournament, we had sponsorship levels that ranged from truly every level imaginable, just so that it gave businesses the opportunity to be involved, to support at the level that best fits them. And then the Arizona Charitable tax credit, that's huge for us.
Yeah.
That dollar for dollar tax credit is amazing.
Can you go into that a little bit more? Because I think this is gonna be one of my questions. Is I think there's a lot of misconception of it's just donating. I mean, you don't want to donate just for the tax incentive, but there is something to be said where it's like I can either choose to give my money to the government, or it could go over here and it's probably gonna be used a bit better.
So it's interesting. Before coming to work for Military Assistance Mission, I had heard so many different nonprofits talk about the Arizona Charitable Tax Credit, and I didn't really understand how it worked. And I was a little bit suspect. And before I say another word, let me just share, I am not a tax professional. You should dedefinitely check with a tax
advice.
Yes. Do not take this as tax advice. Like, let me make that very, very, very clear. But I heard it's a dollar for dollar tax credit. How does that work? So when I did my taxes, first, and I went online and did my taxes, and first I did it without the donation involved and saw what that was going to look like. And then I put the donation in, and sure enough, for me, for my tax scenario, again, it truly was every dollar that I donated. So as an individual, I was able to donate $400. Shit, is it $400? Yes, it is.
You were able to donate some money.
I was able to. So I was able to donate, and every dollar that I donated came right back to me in my Arizona state refund. And it was so fast. What was really fascinating is that before doing it, I think the refund I was going to get was under $100, and then with adding in my tax donation, I ended up getting more back, which was mind blowing to me.
And it's a tax credit. It's not a deduction. It's a credit.
Exactly. So every dollar that I donated to Military Assistance Mission went to Military Assistance Mission, and then the state gave me all that money right back. So again, not a tax professional, but that was my personal experience.
But I'm so big on this because there's so many things that you can donate to where, again, it's like you can either give your money to Uncle Sam, or you can donate to this good thing. I mean, eventually that money's going to get dispersed elsewhere into whatever. So it's like, are you okay with how the government disperses money, or do you want to give here? It's advantageous to you. So it's might as well give to where, what leads with your heart. You know what I mean?
And absolutely, I completely agree. And I think one of the things that we really saw last year was the services that so many nonprofits offer, was at an all-time high of the recipients needing the help. There was a lot of fear in the nonprofit world.
Oh yeah.
You know, so that with this pandemic going on and with people not being able to work, will people be able to give?
Yeah.
And people did give, and they continue to give, which was such a blessing, because as people are giving, you know, we were also able to give to those that needed what we're able to offer.
Yeah. No, do you guys use Google Grants at all? You guys
It's so funny that you mentioned that.
Fill it out right now.
I actually applied for that last week, and I'm waiting to hear how it goes. Yeah.
It's funny, it came up on a previous episode. I mean, that's how I got started in this, is working with Google and stuff like that. And so know about the Google Grant. Might have some contacts, might be able to hey, check this out. We're expedite it.
We are in process and waiting. It's amazing. The fact that Google offers free advertising to nonprofits, I mean, it's huge.
And not only that, I mean, it's not just free advertising, a couple bucks here and there. I mean, it's $10,000 a month. Like it's huge. And
in the world of a nonprofit, whether you're using that to educate people about your mission, to attract volunteers, donation, I mean, it's mind blowing.
Well, I mean, the biggest struggle, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but with most nonprofits, it's most nonprofits are doing a great thing. It's just getting that word out there in front of the right people. And to have, you know, an extension to where you get $10,000 a month at no cost, you can just use it. That's a tool to get in front of there. And I've seen so many nonprofits go from, you know, we're a small organization, get this, take advantage of it. And to your point, it's request donations, the education, the all the different facets of the nonprofit, and through that drives the awareness, and all of a sudden you're just seeing donations double, triple, quadruple over the years, and it's so amazing. And I mean, so many nonprofits don't know about it. I mean, that's what's amazing. Google needs to do a better job advertising
exactly
their nonprofit.
I stumbled on that last week and was absolutely amazed. So I'm, you know, right now we're just waiting to find out.
Awesome. I mean, you've probably been part of so many awesome stories. I mean, you're helping not only families, but families that are just contributing to this nation so greatly. What is one of the greatest stories that I guess you can, you know, go through the memory bank and made you just feel so great?
You know, gosh, there's so many. Immediately, I'm thinking of this young family who was a recipient of one of the laptops. And I have the picture of these kids, like seeing the look on their face when they got their laptop. Like that photo is the one that whenever I get a little bit stressed and a little bit overwhelmed, I just go into my military family photos and I pull that up, and just seeing the smile of those kids, I love it. It's the greatest thing. And then also Roland Castellanos was in our 9/11 event last year. He was a Purple Heart recipient and struggled, you know, really had struggled with some demons and then also some injuries, and that was affecting his just affecting him in a negative way. And knowing the impact that we were able to have with him, and to ease the financial burden so that, you know, he wasn't stressed, and so his wife wasn't stressed. Those are a couple that really stand out to me.
No, that's awesome. And I think through this, I mean, you've been mentioning a couple different events, the spring clean, I don't know if that was in person, but the golf tournament. How's the pandemic kind of affected the events? And I guess what are things looking like as you guys are moving forward? I'm sure you're getting pretty excited that things are opening back up.
I am thrilled that things are opening back up. I am a social person. I am an extrovert. So I'm very happy that things are opening up. But it's a great question. You know, as I'm about to say the word, I really don't like this word, but we pivoted like so many others. We had to pivot. So our back to school event was one that was done very differently pre-pandemic. So for that, the families would come and they would pick the different school supplies that they wanted. Well, we couldn't do that. We couldn't have people touching all the different supplies. So we pre-packed those items and then did a drive-through event. Sanderson Ford is a huge supporter of ours, and they generously allowed us to take over one of the parking lots so that the families could. It really was really huge. So families could drive through, and then they could get the backpacks. So so that went incredibly well. We'll be doing the event this year like that again, and then our Christmas event. Previously, it was a open house style, and it was actually the name included open house. Well, we couldn't really do that. So the open house, again, the families would they would wait in line, and then they would go inside and they would basically pick all of the different items. So since we couldn't do that, shifted gears, and the families gave us their wish list of the different types of items that their kids would like. And then we invited people to adopt a family. And so they would shop for families. And we also had Sanderson Ford were part of the Operation Santa Claus. So we received toys through that program. And so we, along with volunteers, we went and shopped through our toys and fulfilled these wish lists. So day of, instead of the families waiting in line and then going through and picking items, we brought them again back to Sanderson Ford. We had photos with Santa. We had superheroes that were there just interacting with the kids, socially distant, mind you, and taking photos. We had Christmas carolers. So we shifted from a lot of the hands-on to kind of creating an atmosphere and a background. We had Christmas decorations. We had a Santa's workshop, and volunteers would let the kids go through and pick an item for either themselves or if they had a sibling, they could do that. While the parents came and collected the gifts and then scurried and put them in the car.
That's cool.
Yeah, so we changed a lot of the way that we did things. You know, who knows how it will go in the future, but we got really positive feedback from the parents.
No, that's awesome. It was definitely an interesting holiday season. I mean, got a 7-month-old. She was born in November, so a month before Christmas. And our first Santa photos are me and my wife there. She's on our lap. Then we have plexiglass behind us and Santa. But I think to your point, and yeah, I agree, pivot has been so overused the last 12 months. But the thing I can appreciate about the whole, pandemic and everything is it's been amazing how people have adjusted and changed. I mean, there's so many people had to reinvent their business models and how they get in front of people and how they generate revenue and everything. And, unfortunately, some people didn't make it, but I think those that, had the creativity and kind of figured it out, really flourished. And I think that's going to translate into huge momentum as things do open up, especially for you guys, because I think events are so big, especially for nonprofits, because that's the time to interact and share the stories and all that. And I think once you get ingrained into that, you kind of see the vision of where all this is going. And I think that's where more donations happen and just more giving happens. And so I'm excited to see what that does for you guys as things open up. And I would love to kind of see what events you guys are coming to the table with.
I'm excited for that as well.
Awesome. And, it's tough to plan, especially after what's happened. I mean, a lot of people make short-term, long-term goals, and in 1 week, things can be changed, especially, with the pandemic. But that being said, what are things that you guys are working on, you personally, as an individual, but, as an organization? What are some things you're working on, and what are some of your 12-month goals looking like?
Yeah, so you're really good at asking the right questions. So the thing that we're working on right now that we're just a couple weeks away from launching is a veteran business directory. So I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. I have a great appreciation for entrepreneurs. And so the men and women that have served our country that then our business owners, we just want to be able to support them. So the Veteran Business Directory will be just that. It will have veterans as well as spouses of veterans and those active duty entrepreneurs that maybe they have a side hustle, maybe they have something going on. So we want to be able to feature them. So they will be included at no cost. Always, they'll always be in there at no cost. Our first issue will go live July 1. It's going to be a digital publication pushed out through Issue. What's cool about that is that we'll be able to feature not only veterans, our programs, different events that are coming up. With digital, you can include video. So really excited about that. And veterans will be able to provide ads and editorial content. So that's what that's a passion project that we're in the midst of right now.
That is so cool. How did that even come together? I mean, it's so smart because, you mentioned the side hustle. I think, as military, even though out on duty doing stuff, there's still side hustles. And like you said, it's not they're not getting paid the most. And so having these side hustles, being able to create something that people can see what's going on and be able to kind of increase some revenue for people was awesome. How did this idea come to life?
Yeah, so a couple kind of pieces to the puzzle. As a military brat, and we were not in the lower rank area. My stepfather was a heart surgeon, So when we would get relocated, when we would get orders to move, my mom was an entrepreneur. So every time we moved somewhere new, and this was before the digital age, had it been during that time period, she would have just had one business that she took with her. But every time we would move, she would reinvent herself, and she would create a new business. So what one of the byproducts of this veteran business directory is I would love to see more of the spouses of active duty maybe start a business and know that they have the resources from us of promoting their event, their business. Okay, but where did the digital magazine idea come from? My background was in marketing for a commercial landscape business.
Okay.
And it's a growing industry. Real sexy. Yeah, let's talk about plants. Let's talk about turf. Let's talk about trees. Let's talk about grass. Yeah. So in attracting their model was HOAs and commercial locations. So instead of just sending out a newsletter, an email, I wanted to create something different. And so I fumbled around and created a digital magazine.
That's cool.
It was very clunky, and when I look back on it, I'm just like, I don't know why anyone looked at this, and I've gotten better. So that was kind of the idea behind it, and where I had the concept for doing something like that.
No, it's really cool, and I mean, you mentioned look back, and I mean, it's definitely evolved. And I think one thing a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs struggle with is trying to perfect something before getting it to market. And I think there's a lot of missed opportunity because there's something we say here a lot, and perfection is the enemy of great, where you might be preventing yourself from being great by trying to be a perfectionist. And from that, no one can see what you're trying to do. Did you ever struggle with that at the beginning of this, where it's like, I had this idea, and now I see it, it's like, I don't know if I want people to see it. Did you struggle with that? And if so, how did you kind of get over that?
Yeah. So I started, I met Margie. I first learned about military assistance mission back in 2013, 2012, 2013. And sorry, I just totally lost my train of thought of where I was going.
It's a Friday afternoon. You are good.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Don't worry about it.
Sorry, what? Are we 3 o'clock?
Oh, you're good.
Okay.
It's at 3:06 right now.
Okay.
We had until.
Okay. Okay. So a year ago, I started working for Military Assistance Mission, and I had this idea for the digital magazine more in my back pocket. I wasn't sure how we were going to use it, and so it wasn't really a matter of it not being perfected. I just hadn't yet seen all the pieces.
Yeah.
So it took a year to kind of develop and let that idea percolate. As far as, do I have fear of putting something out there and seeing how it's, no. And maybe that's a flaw. I don't know. But my personality is more shoot and then aim. And again, I don't know if that's a flaw, but that's just who I am. And fortunately, I'm one piece of the puzzle at Military Assistance Mission. So we have a lot of different personalities and a lot of different input. And what's your take on this? So it really is a collective of how do we push that forward. And I think anytime any of us has a little bit of doubt and is this good enough, because of the input and because of the amazing team that we have, we're able to work through that.
No, I mean, that's where a team effort comes in, because you might be scared of saying something, presenting something, whatever it may be, but just having your teammate come in and say, it's great, or it's great, but this could be changed. I mean, kind of giving the narrative or directive of where to go to make it great. I think having that is so awesome. But I just ask because I mean, even dealing with clients and stuff like that, it's the trying to be perfect, and sometimes it's like, well, now we didn't get to market for 3 weeks, now we kind of missed the opportunity, and you could almost prevent what it is that you're trying to do it for that perfection. So I would say it's not a downfall of what you do, because if anything, if it isn't the most perfect, you're gonna get that feedback to then get it to perfection. Whereas if you hold it back, you're never gonna get anything. It never sees the light of day. And so, not a downfall. I think it's awesome. I think more people need to be like that. Just take your shot, get the feedback, and adjust.
My goodness, you're gonna give me a big head. I think we all serve someone, and for us, if we were to let fear stand in the way of putting something out there, of creating, of doing, then we're actually hurting those men and women that serve our country.
Yep.
And everyone serves someone. So, even though who we serve is, the military and their families, you serve your clients.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone serves someone. So when you let fear stand in the way, you're really doing a disservice, not just to you, but to those that you serve.
You said it way better than myself. I said that you're leaving an opportunity on the table, but that's what it is everyone starts a business for some reason, and that's some cause, that's to solve some problem that someone has. And if it's, you're not going to get that video or that piece of whatever it is to market because you're worried, someone could have stumbled on it, you could have completely changed their life, and now you missed that opportunity of what you even got into business for. And that's where it's tough to hear let's keep waiting, let's not, the not wanting to release it because the fear of not so much the reject, but I guess what people might say. And it's like, man, you're missing out on so many people to help over the fear of the criticism, I guess.
And even once you have it perfected, even once you say, okay, this is perfect, I'm ready to push this out there, I'm ready to market it, I'm ready to publish it, you're gonna find something in it later that you didn't like.
Yep.
And I see that all the time when I go to Facebook and I look at my memories and I see something that I posted 6 years ago, and I think, why did you think that everyone needed to know what you ate that day? So
isn't it funny how that all works?
Yeah. Because we evolve and we change.
Exactly. And it's just knowing that, take your shot, get the feedback, adjust. I don't know, I always had this, Gary Vee, someone I like a lot. He basically puts things into perspective where it's like struggling, bad client communicate, whatever it may be. At the end of the day, it's like we're still alive, family members still alive and healthy. Like everything is good. Like just go forward with it. And it's amazing what the opportunities that'll open up. And that's what I love what you're doing. And I can't wait to see this digital publication come to life. It'll be awesome. You'll have to share the link and we'll definitely share it for you.
Absolutely will.
That's awesome. So, this has been great. Is there anything that I didn't touch on that you were wanting to really touch on? I'd love to share anything that we didn't touch on.
You did an incredible job of doing your research, doing your homework, and asking great questions. I really think we covered a lot. I think the only thing that we didn't talk about is how pivotal volunteers are. All the different events that we do, there's no way we could do them. We're a small team. There's truly no way that we could do them without the help of volunteers. I think that's about it.
Yeah, and I think that's a good segue. So if anyone's looking to donate their time, their energy, financials, their Trout, whatever it may be, how can they find you? How can they find the website? How can they donate?
Yeah, we're online everywhere. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn. If you just go to the website, AZMAM, that's MAM for militaryassistancemission.org. We definitely could use the help of volunteers. It's easy to sign up, and we'll get you all the details.
Awesome. Well, if you're watching, I'm sure there's plenty of people here that have some sort of military connection, and so I'm excited to kind of see what happens. I'm hoping that drives some awareness and you get some people to sign up and help. I'm gonna check it out, and I'd love to donate some time or whatever we can to kind of help get the awareness out there for you guys as well.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.